Hey, Angelo. So here's an answer to your question. First, I just made a little part that I can bring a bring a fastener into. So I made the part, and then I made an assembly with it. So you can't bring fasteners into parts. They're a separate part, so they're an assembly. I showed two ways of doing this in class. The first way, and the way that you're assigned to do it um, in the uh, in the assignment is with the toolbox in SolidWorks. If you're on a Porto, I think that the toolbox doesn't work. So there's another way of doing it that I can show you, which is also a very good way of doing it. Anyway, so the toolbox is over here in this design library. You might, if you may just see this with when you click on the toolbox, it may not be. You may need to add it in. Just click, wait until it takes a little while. Sometimes it should add in the toolbox. Um, I should say, let me go back to my hole. I created a hole, and by the way, I don't know if you know about this. There's a thing called the hole wizard, and you can add in. It's just an extrusion like we've done before, but um, it's allowing us to determine a lot of specifications for our screw types or our whatever fastener we're using. So I picked this hole type, which is a counter bore. Um, It's a number 8 size. So this is in an ANSI metric. Anyway, so that's what I did, and so now I'm going to want to find a fastener that fits that hole. I've already added my toolbox. I'm going to go to the ANSI inch set. Now sometimes it's hard to find stuff that actually fits into this can be part of part of the issue. Let me see if I can find something. I think maybe this will do. No, I don't want that. Nope. Nope. Actually, I'm gonna do this. Go to this US thing. Um, just give you a little tour here. Okay, I'm gonna pick this. So the reason I was doing all that is that for a hole this size, a lot of these fasteners will not work because there's a range of sizes they're available in. As with everything in SolidWorks, this is just something you need to play around with. I think it's way too boring to have just watch somebody do it and try to, I'm trying to give you the basic idea and then you can play with it. So I'm just going to drag this fastener in to my hole. And you see if I pick something that can work, it actually picked a size. You see the number 8, that was the size I picked. We didn't really cover this much detail in class. Number 8 is it's an IP size. As with most things in inch pound system, it's not very intuitively obvious why number 8 all of a sudden instead of inches or whatever. But you can look that up and do some research on it. But anyway, the point is that I pulled that in from the library and it automatically picks something that fits in that hole, which is pretty cool. Then it opens up this configure component dialog, and I can actually change things about it. So yeah, I can't do it. I know that this little part I made is about an inch deep or thick, so I'm going to make this bolt 1.25 inches long and just hit close. It wants to add more, so I'm just going to say I don't want it to add more. You see now I have a bolt that's coming through here. That might actually be even too much. I can come back in here and edit it. So if I right click on it and go to edit toolbox components, um, I'm going to pick, I wonder if I can, that may be all I can do because one's going to be too short. Whatever. I could add now a washer and a nut or whatever else I wanted to do with this. Um, let's look at it though. There's several different ways that I can display this fastener. So if I go to, again, edit toolbox components, and I go to thread display, this is simplified, which has no threads. I can use cosmetic that just draws some threads on there, or I can actually model the threads. The reason I wouldn't necessarily do this is because it takes more computational um, basically time and and computer power, and you're usually not going to be actually bolting things in your assembly, right? I mean, it's just you're putting them in the assembly to see if they're the right size and to make a bill of materials where you can, if there's 50 bolts in your assembly, you'll SolidWorks will keep track of that for you, and their sizes, and then you can order them straight out of SolidWorks. Anyway, so that's the basic idea. Let's cut a section through this. So let's get out of here, just so we can see that our bolts in here. If you go back and look at the hole that I made, there's all sorts of settings I can make in terms of how loose I make this, how much clearance there is at the top. It's pretty crazy how many variables there are to define a fastener and a hole that it interacts with. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Let me just quickly show you the other if you're on a Porto. Another very sensible way of doing this would be just to go find an actual model of a fastener that we were going to buy. Why not? Just, if we're going to if if we're going to buy some fasteners for an assembly, why not actually figure out which ones we're going to buy and then use a model that the manufacturer has produced. So there's this cool company called McMaster-Carr. There's other, there's nothing magical about McMaster-Carr, just like their website. And it's basically an interface like the toolbox in SolidWorks, just much more, actually more detailed. It's really, if you're into mechanical engineering at all, you should look through this. But the point is, you get to the point where let me go back to something that's not this narrow. Okay, so now let's say I want to pick this part. I can actually download a SolidWorks model of that part, and I can bring that model into my assembly just like I did from the toolbox. The advantage of that is it's an actual part I'm buying. A disadvantage is that I was trying to open it, maybe it's not going to do it. Let me just open it from here. Um, a disadvantage would be that you cannot simplify, as far as I know. They tend to come as fully defined models, and so you're going to have more computing power. And it's not a big deal for what we're doing, but if you had 1,000 bolts or something, that might really slow you down. Okay, so that's the basics, like I covered in class. Let me know if you have any other questions about that. And you should be able to complete your assembly, your engine now, based on what I'm showing you here.